There are few horror monsters that have burst onto the scene like the zombie, who has become a mainstay of pop culture, and it seems nothing can stop its rise in popularity. The star burned white-hot for actress Meg Ryan from the mid-80s and throughout the decade of the 90s. In different times and different eras the humble zombie has been presented in different ways. It has ties back to Haitian folklore and voodoo, but in the end, it has been an effective foil for adversaries of all sorts. Video games were quick to adopt the zombie, with 80s games like Castlevania, Ghosts N Goblins, and many others using them. This has continued and seen even more use in recent years, begging the question, what is it about the zombie that makes game creators turn to it? After looking into games, talking with some developers, I've come up with this list of 6 reasons why zombies make effective enemies in video games. Zombies operate on a variety of rules. There are a lot of different types of zombies, and because everyone accepts that zombies can operate with many different rules, as long as you meet the basic core expectations like being brainless, players are willing to listen to and roll with whatever. It was a time when she garnered the label America's Sweetheart. She was pulling down role after role, making hits out of various romantic comedies with leading men such as Tom Hanks and Billy Crystal. Zombie media has a rich canvas of various ideas to draw upon, and while there's a definite cultural resonance with them, they aren't nearly as defined as some monsters can be. Jespi Barisic, the community manager at Game Pires, who are the creators on Scum along with Croteam, shared this thought on it. Regarding game design, there are so many options you can do with them. But then her Meg Ryan's star began to fade. Where is Meg Ryan today and why don't we see her on the big screen anymore? Here's the answer. Early career. Meg Ryan's career began early and with bit parts. So many different variations of zombies that change the gameplay style. For example, in Techland's Dying Light, I'm still afraid to go outside by night because of how powerful the zombies get. Or you can make masses of them chase after you like a sea wave. There are almost limitless possibilities to what you can do with them. She starred in Amityville 3D, then moved on to the soap opera As the World Turns. After her 2-year stint on the soap opera, Ryan appeared in 2 TV series, Charles in Charge and Wildside, but it wasn't until her minor role in a little movie some may have heard of, Top Gun, that began to open the eyes of those in Hollywood. Also, people will always want some information and lore on the hows and whys, and with zombies, you can also do almost anything. While the role as Goose's wife Carol, "Hey Goose, you big stud. Take me to bed or lose me forever," was just a tiny part, it was effective. Her screen time was expanded in her next movie, Armed and Dangerous, that starred John Candy and Eugene Levy. Innerspace came next, and it was this movie where she met her future, now ex-husband Dennis Quaid, with whom she has one child, actor Jack Quaid. You can tie them to voodoo magic. Fun fact, that's how zombies started in Haitian folklore. A zombie, Haitian French, zombie, Haitian Creole, zombie, is an animated corpse raised by magical means, such as witchcraft, to failed experiments, to random viruses that came out of space, or in the case of Scum, engineered chips which take control of your nervous system once you die. Zombies have powerful thematic elements. Enemies in games generally have to carry more of a burden than just being a challenge. Little did she know at the time, Meg Ryan was beginning to lay the groundwork in becoming Hollywood's darling actress and America's sweetheart. America's Sweetheart, coming off positive performance in the drama Promised Land and 2 thrillers DOA, which she again starred in with Dennis Quaid, and The Presidio. Ryan hit it big with the rom-com When Harry Met Sally. They have to tell part of the story by being there. For example, an area having guards tells you something is important and has to be protected. Another example is Theme, and zombies are rich with thematic tones because of the various ways they've been used in cultural works over the years. We've seen zombies be used thematically to discuss consumerism and to evoke the feeling of malaise around society in many works, but their most powerful thematic element is tied to death and our mortality. Zombies can bring us face to face with death in a way that little else can. Steve Bristow, the lead designer on Strange Brigade from Rebellion, who also made the Zombie Army trilogy, shared this thought with me on zombies. Zombies are a physical and literal manifestation of our anxieties around our own mortality. They threaten us with injury, pain, disease and death, while they themselves pervert death by being undead.
The rapport she had with the movie's co-star Billy Crystal was fun to watch. In this movie, Meg Ryan delivers one of the most famous and memorable movie scenes in Hollywood history, the restaurant's fake orgasm scene. If she wasn't on the map before then, she definitely was after that. So the parts began to roll in. Perhaps most compellingly, they allow us to play out the fantasy of defeating death, preferably with a well-aimed shotgun. It's hard to resist the emotions they provoke in us as well. Something we used in Zat is the way each zombie carries its own story, at least the story of their last moments alive, which, obviously, we lifted from Romero, the majorette with an arm missing, the lumberjack with an axe in his back, that kind of thing. She starred in her first of 4 movies with Tom Hanks in Joe vs. the Volcano. That links us to their humanity and leads you down this horrific path towards imagining someone you love trying to eat your brain. The apocalypse is a great game setting. 1991 was a big year for Ryan because that was the year she played opposite Val Kilmer's Jim Morrison in The Doors, but it also saw her personal life take off, as she married Dennis Quaid. The hits, and more importantly her choices in movies, kept coming up big for Meg Ryan, and the zombie apocalypse is one that many enjoy. Video games have made use of apocalyptic settings many times, and the zombie apocalypse is one of the most common implementations of it. Her second movie with Tom Hanks, Sleepless in Seattle, was another huge hit for Ryan, fully cementing her status as America's sweetheart. During the decade of the 90s, Ryan starred in a litany of romantic comedies. Prelude to a Kiss, IQ, French Kiss, and of course her third movie with Tom Hanks, You've Got Mail. During this time, Ryan did attempt to sprinkle in a few dramatic roles which were also met with some success. Either on a small scale or a large scale, the zombie apocalypse breaks down life around you and creates a situation that can put anyone into action. Steve Bristow discussed the zombie apocalypse some in our talk. The apocalyptic survival fantasy is a powerful backdrop for a game. You throw the player to the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you scatter the resources they need and you make them take risks to claw their way back up it. Zombies work brilliantly as the pressure on those decisions because they offer the designer a range of threats to challenge the player with, creeping around a dark warehouse with a handful of them or in a machine gun nest surrounded by a sea of them, and we generally get to overcome those threats in satisfying, visceral ways. It's perhaps telling how tied to the idea of apocalypse zombies are that, without prompting, the idea came up from multiple people as a major point when discussing it. Then came the new decade, the 2000s, and Ryan's life as America's sweetheart began to take its turn. End of the Meg Ryan era. The year 2000 saw Meg Ryan star in a movie, Proof of Life, with Russell Crowe, the notorious bad boy of Hollywood. Rumors of an affair between the two began and never did let up. When those rumors became reality, Ryan's star faded and it seemed either the choices she made for movie roles or Hollywood's offerings became less glamorous and more gritty. Then came the movie where Meg Ryan felt things truly began to change for the worst. She starred in an erotic thriller with Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Jason Leigh called In the Cut, which was written and directed by the notoriously edgy Jane Campion, The Piano. In fact, Josip Barisic discussed the apocalypse a lot, and I swear I didn't ask about the zombie apocalypse. Well, I think there are more factors which make zombies adrenaline and fear-fueling beings these days, the first being the apocalypse factor. When you mention the word apocalypse or think about the end of the world, mostly two scenarios pop into someone's mind. First is a natural disaster which eradicated all life, and the second is a zombie outbreak. The difference is that in the disaster scenario you get to wait for the 10,000-foot wave to give you a bath or the Statue of Liberty giving you a light kiss while dropping on you, and that's hopelessness in its pure form. On the other hand, when people think of a zombie apocalypse, they grab a bat, hammer nails through it, and are ready to smash some heads in to survive in a world without rules, values and responsibilities. The movie is set in New York and in it, Ryan portrays a NY writing professor who has an affair with a NY detective Ruffalo while he is investigating a murder. The movie itself was critically panned, but it was better known for the full frontal nudity of both stars, Ryan and Ruffalo. Meg Ryan took a bigger hit critically and she spoke about it to the New York Times Magazine.
So you kind of get the chance to build up your world with your rules and values, and I can see why people would find that exhilarating, and all of that thanks to a mindless corpse which walks around without any incentive. Of course, that does not mean most of humanity will start to work on some virus or voodoo spell to start a zombie apocalypse. Zombies have simple AI. One of the hardest parts for many games is getting the opposition to seem like it is acting intelligently. In the Cut felt like a real turning point, she acknowledged. The illusion of intelligence is difficult to create as the enemy must not just have a perfect unerring accuracy and dogged determination, as that would not be fun, but must also do pathfinding and other tasks. Zombies, known for being braindead, can operate on a simpler AI that has far less to it. "I know that when I did In the Cut, the reaction was vicious," she said. "If a zombie acts stupid, no one is really surprised, it's just a zombie after all." Steve spoke to that exact point, saying, "It's relatively simple to get an AI to behave convincingly like a zombie." "I think the feeling with Hollywood was mutual. That might sound a bit negative, but you want to lull the player into the illusion of your game and nothing breaks it like, say, a ninja walking into a wall. I felt done when they felt done, probably. Ryan wasn't completely done though. She followed In the Cut with a movie called Against the Ropes, but sadly the writing was on the wall. It's easier to swallow stuff like that when your antagonist is shambling around with half his head missing. Zombies carry no moral baggage. While we've been discussing thematic reasons zombies make great enemies, or programming reasons, one thing that needs to be brought up is just how much people enjoy killing zombies. Some enemies can bring up moral uncertainty, and that can be a great thing in games, but in titles where you just want someone to go loose killing the enemy, having that question of morality can create a dissonance for the player. The opportunities became less and less, the roles not as glamorous, and it seemed the feeling was becoming mutual. Her personal life had fallen apart, as did her marriage to Quaid. Meg Ryan's last true movie was made a decade ago, the little-known Serious Moonlight, and she has remained out of the spotlight for the past decade. Zombies, on the other hand, are clearly known to be things that need to be killed with no need to ask why. Zombies can be humorous or tragic. Many horror monsters tend to fall into one note unless given a reinvention by the author. In 2015 Ryan tried her hand at directing, with her debut in the movie Ithaca, which saw her appear for the fourth time with co-star Tom Hanks. Zombies, with their variety, carry a lot of different tonal elements beyond horror. Most notably for zombies, though, are the areas of humor and tragedy. As for humor, there's been a variety of games that take advantage of this because the zombie as it moves just looks weird. In fact, it was Hanks's production company, Playtone, that helped put the movie together. Zombies don't move like people should and are especially exaggerated for an effect that can be quite funny, or their mindlessness can lead them to repeatedly doing the same stupid thing over and over again. Tragedy is on the far other end of the scale, but many zombie stories invoke it. Again, this is a little-known piece, and once again, Ryan has remained quiet on the acting front. Meg Ryan these days Meg Ryan stays out of the limelight. In particular, the idea of someone being turned into a zombie invokes those thematic elements of mortality we mentioned and helps tell a tragic tale, and we see on them, as a zombie, the story of their last moments. She actively supports the career of her son Jack Quaid with posts like this. And every now and then she shows up at awards shows like this. And when it comes to work, Meg Ryan told InStyle magazine back in 2019, "Now I'm focused on producing. Watching our friends be turned and faced with the need to kill them to stop the zombies from spreading further compounds it, and when done properly can create an incredible emotionally gripping aspect of a work like with The Walking Dead Season 1's finale." Well, I hope this look has brought you some insight into zombies as we head into Halloween. I'm also teeing myself up to direct, and I'm working on a fun e-commerce project with some of my friends. Now enjoy yourself, I need to go see about getting my machete sharpened here. But most of all, what I'm ambitious for in the 12 hours a day that I'm awake is my kids' happiness. I just am. Her personal life is still a balancing act as she continues an off and on with rocker John Mellencamp, and while Meg Ryan has stated she isn't officially done with Hollywood, it remains to be seen if Hollywood is done with her.